Legislation, Stalking and Harassment Amendment Bill. And at the beginning of this year, Madam Speaker, the Honourable Minister responsible for this bill stated quite clearly on the public record that stalking legislation was in fact not a priority for this government. He explained quite clearly that there was a busy work programme ahead of the justice portfolio, and stalking legislation quite simply was not a high priority on that busy workload. So something changed his mind. Something made him change to make this legislation a priority. Maybe it was the nearly 20,000 signatures delivered to him on the steps of Parliament by all of those women and advocates who worked so hard to bring those signatures together. Maybe it was a members' bill which proposed to do what this bill does, but a bit more, that had the potential for being drawn from the ballot. Or maybe, Madam Speaker, he just had a change of heart. Let's hope it was the third one. So Labor supports this bill because we think it does good work in this space. But we do have some reservations, and I'll go into detail about what those reservations are, and I will ask people who are strong advocates in the sector to submit and put their voices forward to the Select Committee so that all those views can be taken into consideration when we receive submissions on this bill. Before I go into that detail, I'd like to acknowledge three people. There are lots of others I could acknowledge, but I would like to firstly acknowledge Leonie Morris, who is the chair of the Coalition for the Safety of Women and Children. It is Leonie I met and who I worked closely with in the drafting of my members' bill. She is a strong advocate for women's safety and has worked tirelessly in the sector and continues to do so, and has a wealth of knowledge in how to better support victims in New Zealand. I'd like to also acknowledge Awatea Mita from the Aotearoa Free from Stalking campaign. They drove a strong campaign that has largely driven and put pressure upon this government to bring this bill to the House before the end of the year, and I acknowledge the hard work that has gone in to do that. I'd also like to acknowledge the work of Labour, Zubair and the Anti-Violence Action Community Organisation who have worked as a group. And so one of the benefits, I would say, of being in opposition is the ability to engage with the front-facing people who do this hard work in our community and understand the nature of issues by engaging with them and understanding the specific circumstances of repeat stalking which happens in New Zealand. Stalking is a shocking and far more prevalent practice than most people understand it to be. It can take many shapes and forms. It can be online, it can be in person, it can be following, it can be repeated unwanted gifts, it can be physical violence, it can be cameras unknown in your home or in your car, it can be tracked through GPS. You can think of many, many, many ways you can try to make someone's life a misery by stalking them. It varies. It can be someone who's had a relationship already, or it can be someone who's never met them but only seen online. But either way, it is a power play to dominate and intimidate someone and to make their life a misery. One of the points I'd like to highlight, Madam Speaker, in the short speech is that this bill has been called tone deaf by the sector. It has been called a watered down protection, and the key reason is that this very bill repeals the harassment law and introduces a new stalking law, and that is what has caused real dismay from the very women who campaigned so strongly and brought together those petitions. The Crimes Legislation, Stalking and Harassment Amendment Bill, would make it illegal to carry out 3 stalking actions in a year, but very importantly, Madam Speaker, it would also allow the repeal of the related offence of criminal harassment, which is defined as 2 acts of serious harassment in a year. So making it illegal for stalkers to harass their victims twice a year in certain ways is absolutely counterproductive and uncalled for, possibly even unprecedented internationally. And it is called, the sector has called upon the Minister and stated that they are angry at this, quote, bait and switch move. Stalking actions are harmful and the harassment law is wound into this as well. We support the bill, Madam Speaker.
Kata rangi kata.
Thank you, Madam.
Okay. Interesting that Ginny wants it to go further than what it is, and the fact that it's repealing another law in order to make this become a law.
That is interesting. There's something to definitely keep an eye on in the future. I'll have to look more in depth into that.
And I wonder which committee this will be referred to.